Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from Russia to share with you. We're going to be talking about Russian President Vladimir Putin. This is him right here in the interview video that you're watching. And he was recently interviewed in the last 24 hours in regards to long range strikes inside of Russia. Now, we've been talking a lot about this lately, that Ukraine could possibly be receiving the ability and the permission to strike inside of Russian territory using Western made high precision long range weapons. Okay. Many of these missiles that are being given to Ukraine, such as the ATACMS missiles from the US, we've got the British Storm Shadow missiles and also the French Scalp missiles. Okay. So we know that right now NATO is currently working with Ukraine to give them permission to strike inside of Russian territory. We don't have any official confirmation from, let's say, the UK or the United States yet, but we could potentially hear. I've let you guys know that by the end of the week, that maybe we will hear Ukraine now has all restrictions lifted on Western-made weapons, and they can now strike back into Russian territory, go after their airfields, and strike their strategic bombers. All these different military targets that Ukraine could be striking to put pressure on Russia to potentially end this war. They want the ability to do this. So we've been discussing so much about that lately. And Vladimir Putin is going to come out in this interview that we're going to watch here in just a moment. He's going to explain that if these missiles start flying into Russian territory, this will be NATO directly involved in the conflict, meaning that Russia will declare war against NATO. Okay, so this is absolutely huge news, and I've been telling you guys this for the longest time now, that my personal opinion is that long-range, high-precision missiles coming from the West, flying into Russian territory, is the major red line for Vladimir Putin, and he's going to explain to all of us here in just a little bit why this is a red line for Russia, and I think you guys will see what I'm talking about and why I personally believe this is a major red line. Okay, now I know we've seen lots of red lines cross recently, but in my personal opinion, this is a major red line that I do not think Vladimir Putin is going to let it be crossed without a response. So I'm going to show you a couple things here on X real fast before we get into that video footage. So from Bliskovka, the US may authorize strikes deep into Russia, but with British Storm Shadow and French Scalp missiles. This was reported by the Times newspaper. Okay, this just came out today, just about an hour and a half from the time that I record this. So this is big news, okay? We already know, I reported to you guys this morning that supposedly the UK gave permission behind closed doors at a secret meeting with Ukraine recently in the last 24 hours, giving them permission to launch strikes into Russian territory using British Storm Shadow missiles. But according to the Times, it looks like we may see only British Storm Shadow missiles and French Scalp missiles being used first to strike inside of Russian territory, not the ATACMS. And that doesn't surprise me because I reported to you guys just yesterday, this came out on CNN, that ATACMS missiles were apparently in very low supply. Ukraine didn't have too many of these, and that would make sense. If they don't have any missiles, what are they going to shoot into Russia if they don't have them? And then we also know that the US has a very low supply of stock of ATACMS also. So it is definitely going to be Storm Shadow and French Scalp is what it looks like to me. And according to the Times, that's what they're reporting. Okay, also take a look at this from Sprinter Family. Putin, America is amassing troops near the Russian borders. We must be ready. The U.S. is trying to maintain its dominance in the world at any cost. And using Ukraine, they are trying to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin said, America is increasing its military presence near the Russian borders. The Americans are already practicing transferring and deploying missiles in the Asia-Pacific region, Putin said at the opening of the Ocean 2024 naval military exercises. Okay, so these are massive naval exercises that right now Russia and China are conducting. I think they're doing this in the Arctic, also in the Pacific Ocean. And, this is very interesting, the timing of Russia doing this right at the beginning of what we could be potentially seeing as a major war between Russia and NATO. And obviously, could China get involved? Could North Korea get involved? Could Iran get involved maybe? I mean, we're definitely shaping up to see a massive war breaking out potentially here very soon, okay? It could come before the November elections in the United States. And imagine if that happens, okay? We could definitely see elections maybe even be called off. Who knows what's going to happen? But many people are speculating that we could potentially even see a war before November. So according to him, the Russian Federation must be ready to repel possible military aggression in any direction, including from the sea, and will continue to strengthen the Navy, including the strategic nuclear component. Okay, so just look at that, guys. This is huge. Okay, if he's coming out and saying this during their naval military exercise that they're currently holding right now with China, this is a major red flag that Vladimir Putin is basically saying they're getting ready to go to war with NATO. That's kind of how I see this. He's already coming out painting the picture of, NATO's being the aggressor against us. They want to strategically defeat us. They want to use Ukraine to destroy Russia. So he's already coming out and stating that that NATO is a major threat to Russia just by saying this. Okay, and this could be the beginning of a major war that could be breaking out soon. So I just wanted to show you that just in case we see something happen. That way you guys are informed on that, okay? Now let's get to this interview that I've been waiting to show you guys from Bricks News. Just in, President Putin warns that NATO will enter a direct war with Russia if Ukraine uses long-range Western missiles to strike inside Russia. Okay, so pay attention to every word that he is saying here, and he's going to explain two major reasons why that NATO would be directly involved if these British Storm Shadow missiles, ATACMS, French Scout missiles, whatever, starts flying into Russian territory. Take a look at what he has to say and pay attention.
Дни мы видим и слышим, как на очень высоком уровне Великобритании и США муссируется тема о том, что киевский режим сможет наносить удар вглубь территории России западными вооружениями большой дальности. И, судя по всему, это решение либо вот-вот будет принято, либо, судя по всему, вообще уже принято. И эта вещь, конечно, экстраординарная. Хотелось попросить прокомментировать то, что происходит.
Происходит попытка подмены понятий, потому что речь не идет о разрешении или запрете киевскому режиму наносить удары по российской территории. Он и так наносит с помощью беспилотных летательных аппаратов и другими средствами, но когда речь идет об использовании высокоточного оружия большой дальности западного производства, это совершенно другая история. Дело в том, что я уже об этом говорил, и любые эксперты это подтвердят, и у нас, и на Западе, наносить удары современными высокоточными системами большой дальности западного производства украинская армия не в состоянии. Она не может этого делать. Это возможно только с использованием разведданных со спутников, которыми Украина не располагает. Это данные только со спутников или Евросоюза, либо на Соединенных Штатах, в общем, с натовских спутников. Это первое. Второе, и очень важное, может быть, ключевое, заключается в том, что полетные задания в эти ракетные системы могут, по сути, вносить только военнослужащие стран НАТО. Украинские военнослужащие делать это не могут. И поэтому речь идет не о том, чтобы разрешать украинскому режиму наносить удары по России этим оружием или не разрешать. Речь идет о том, чтобы принять решение о том, что страны НАТО напрямую участвуют в военном конфликте или нет. Если это решение будет принято, это будет означать не что иное, как прямое участие стран НАТО, Соединенных Штатов, европейских стран в войне на Украине. Это их прямое участие. И это уже, конечно, существенным образом меняет саму суть, саму природу конфликта. Это будет означать, что страны НАТО, США, европейские страны воюют с Россией. А если это так, то, имея в виду изменение самой сути этого конфликта, мы будем принимать соответствующие решения, исходя из тех угроз, которые нам будут создаваться.
Okay, he definitely mentioned a lot of big things here. We'll go ahead and keep it rolling while I'm speaking. And so if you notice, he mentioned two major reasons why he's not okay with these long-range, high-precision missiles going into Russian territory. The number one thing is that it requires Ukraine to have access to satellites that tell the missiles where to go, okay? They'd have to use EU satellites in order to do so, and Ukraine doesn't have the ability to access these satellites. That this would be NATO controlling where these missiles are going to using these satellites from the EU. So that's why he's saying that this would be NATO involved in regards to that. And also, he mentions here, he goes really quick, but he says at one point after he talks about the satellites here, he says right here, okay, I understand it went really fast, so we're going to go over this. He says the second and very important, maybe the key, servicemen can, he says, is that only NATO servicemen can, in fact, enter flight assignments into these missile systems, okay? So only NATO servicemen can enter the flight coordinates, okay? The flight assignments, telling the missile where to go. So that's kind of what he's saying, that he thinks that that's the key, that's the major key to this, is NATO servicemen would have to enter the flight paths of these missiles going into their territory, and then at the same time, they are guided by using EU satellites going into Russian territory, okay? So this is why he's saying that this would be direct involvement of NATO. And if you notice, he mentioned in the very beginning of this video, he said it's not a matter of Russian territory being attacked, because they're already doing that. Ukraine's already attacking with drones. But these high precision missiles require lots of intelligence coming from the West. For example, the satellites, and then also the NATO servicemen would have to input the flight paths for these missiles to go into their territory. And then this explains why for the longest time too, for example, ATACMS missiles, that NATO would only allow Ukraine to use these inside of their own territory. So they would attack inside of like the Eastern Front or maybe inside of Crimea, but that is because those areas are actually recognized by the West as Ukrainian territory, although they are under control by the Russians, okay? So this is obviously a big deal, and this explains why Vladimir Putin has a red line here, okay? And this is why I've been telling you guys this for a long time. In my personal opinion, this is a red line, and I think definitely Russia could go to war with NATO over this, okay? So let me know what you think down below, though. This is definitely a crazy topic, a very hot topic, I should say, right now. Lots of people are discussing this. So let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with Vladimir Putin? Do you think that he's right about this, or do you think that he's wrong about that? Let me know what your thoughts and concerns and opinions are down in the comment section, but that's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell, that way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.